Welcome back to Age Lust, a podcast about lustful aging, where we spark conversations, ignite passion, and expand your thinking about the wise years. My name is Jessica, and I'm a nurse practitioner My name is Jessica, and I'm your host. Today is going to be a short one, a quickie of sorts. We're going to talk about two things, and both are a little on the shady side. I don't know if it's not true. I don't know. You're going to tell me what you think. There are a lot of biohacking bros out there. Longevity scientists make the statement that aging is a disease, and it is a disease that can be cured. My conflict with aging as a disease is that aging is inevitable. The diseases of aging are not necessarily unavoidable. I was an older undergrad in nursing school. And I remember we had a speaker come from the Hartford Institute for Geriatric Nursing at NYU. She made two clear statements. The first one was that elders are still sexual. The second one was pain is not a natural part of aging. And that really blew my mind. Maybe like you, I think of getting older as being uncomfortable, being in pain. So would you want to stop whatever was causing the pain? Absolutely. One of the biggest names in anti-aging and longevity science is David Sinclair, and he's out of Harvard. He's all over the place. Huberman has him on, and he was on the School of Greatness. And I know that Tim Ferriss, like all the big longevity guys are into him. He was saying on the School of Greatness, aging is a disease that's treatable. Aging is a loss of information. We actually think we found the backup hard drive and we can reset the body. That is a direct quote from David Sinclair. So he has this lab and he does all of this longevity work. And he says in order to reverse aging, to reset the body, you need to do 5 things. Number 1, don't smoke or vape. Number 2, limit the amount of food you eat. Number 3, HIIT training. HIIT training is high intensity interval training. Number 4, the small amount of food that you do eat should be plant-based. And number 5, get enough sleep. There's actually a Longevity Science Foundation, longevity focused care. So the Longevity Science Foundation is trying to bring that type of medicine and make it accessible. It's one of the problems that I find when we think about all of this anti-aging is who's talking about it and who's going to have access to it. Because right now it's very, very expensive. Just think about supplements. I think there was a nutritionist who was listing all of pharmacy doctor Mark Hyman or something like that. And she was listing all of his smoothie ingredients, and it worked out to be like close to $1,000. That's not accessible for a lot of us. So the longevity treatments, but finding life-saving treatments and making them accessible to the rest of the world by funding research. In May of 2022, the Longevity Science Foundation announced that they would be funding work around psychedelic, in particular the work around psilocybin and ketamine for their possible influence in regrowth of neuroconnections, dementia being one of the diseases of aging. I think that's so incredibly interesting. And you can watch the conference from years back called Aging and Drug Discovery. I listened to some of the speakers, and one in particular was Dr. Jennifer Garrison, who talked about aging and menopause. In particular, she talked about the hypothalamus as the center of aging, and that inflammation of the hypothalamus might be linked to aging. If I understood her talk correctly, if you target the functions of the hypothalamus, regulates our temperature, it regulates our fluid balance, It regulates our sleep. Yes, it also regulates our hormones as well as our metabolism. And if you start to address the hypothalamus specifically, like possibly taking hormonal care like estrogen, you could start to address aging. You may have figured out that I don't love this whole aging as a disease because it really smells very problematic and very exclusive, but not in a fancy perfume, designer handbag, luxury something. The concept of aging as a disease and those steps leave out something very, very important: friendship, connection, laughter, even sex as a quality of life issue. One longevity study that is more inclusive are the blue zones, places in the world where people lived into their 100 plus years and they were not only healthy, they were happy. Those 5 places were Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Nicoya, Costa Rica, Ikaria, Greece. I might have fucked those names up, so I apologize. And finally, Loma Linda, California, which also happens to be the largest Seventh day Adventist community. Factor in. One of the major differences between the blue zone is that interests or their 9 factors of supporting a long and happy life, healthy and happy life, shit, that is. Blue zones broke down the recipe, I guess, for a long life or to support you in a long life with 9 factors. So the first factor, and some of them are similar. The first factor is movement, not throwing heavy weights around, but little movements all day, all the time, walking, squatting, gardening, moving your actual body. The second factor, purpose. What is your purpose? Do you have a purpose? Number 3, downshifting. So, ways to de stress. Stress causes inflammation. Inflammation is what those biohackers are trying to avoid. How do we de stress? How do we get rid of the bad stress? Number 4, 80% rule. So, the 80% rule is around food. And he's not crazy about what he eats. He's very thoughtful about what he eats, but he's not, he'll eat some shit, but he always leaves a little bit of everything on the plate at the end of the meal. He eats not till he feels stuffed, but he eats till he's fine, like a good solid fine. In this 80% rule, they also say eat the smallest meal in the late afternoon. So just stop eating at a certain point, which, somebody I guess could make the argument that it's, if you're in Sardinia and you want a little cheese and cracker or something, or some fruit with your grappa or whatever it is, like you're going to have it. Number 5, what foods are you going to eat? Plant slant is what they categorize number 5. So it's beans, lentils, soy, and meat a few times a month. So I think it works up to maybe 5 ounces of meat, lean meat, maybe 4 to 5 times a month. It's like that chicken in the pot, right? I don't know, was that Roosevelt? Correct me if I'm wrong. There was one president who said everyone should have a chicken in the pot. Well, it didn't mean have a chicken every day. It meant with a meal or with friends. You're not supposed to like save all your drinking to like binge and go crazy on a Saturday night, drinking in moderation. And I think when they talk about 1 glass, they're talking about not a fucking pint. 7. Number 7 is belonging. In particular, belonging to faith, service 4 times a month. And those folks that go to a service 4 times a month seem to extend their life expectancy 4 to 14 years. And I think about how many older folks move into going to services more regularly or finding a sense of spiritual community. And possibly that, internally they just know that this will enhance those years that remain, if not prolong them. Number 8 is loved ones first. Talking about those elders, keeping elders close, lowers disease for all. So even the young people who have grandparents around them. And committed partnership also adds 3 years, as well as spending time with your kids if you have children And I think that this can also be your nieces, nephews, whatever you have around you in family. It helps them to understand the importance of aging and commitment and family. Number 9 is right tribe. That can be social circles and more specifically, a group of 5 friends that commit to each other for life. Full disclosure, I think that that's always been a desire of mine on a couple different levels. I don't have siblings, but also I am mixed. I'm biracial. There's not really a group of maybe there is now, but when I was growing up, there weren't a lot of biracial kids in my circle. And I've actually since connected with a few biracial women who happen to also be going through menopause and making noise and ruckus about it. I don't have those 5 people, I don't think. Yeah, no, I don't have those 5 people. I do have family though. So I don't think you have to click off all of these, but you can work towards them. I do know somebody who does have a group, and I have to say I truly admire this group. And she talks about her wives, and I think that there are 4 of them, and they are very much ride or die for each other. So for that group, I expect that they're going to live another 50 plus years. So those are the 9 steps or the 9 pillars of living in the blue zone and working towards having not only a healthy but a happy long life. We cannot forget genetics. While science is growing and changing and your genes, who knows, they're going to be able to fuck with those and change them. There's only so much that we can adjust for. Eat well, sleep well, fuck well by yourself or with a friend, laugh until it hurts or you PMP, which is my own, how people have LOL? I have PMP, piss my pants. And drink that fucking coffee, RH. You know exactly. Thank you a million times over for taking some time to listen to Age Lust. I would love it if you would share this episode with someone you love, someone you like, or even somebody you're annoyed by. You can also support Age Lust by rating and following Age Lust Podcast on all of the podcast apps. There are a few links in the bio, plus information about upcoming events, and you can find me on Instagram at agelust.co. Feel free to slide into my DMs with questions or episode requests. Until next time, much love and lust.